Let's talk about sales playbooks. For too long, we've been told to follow a rigid script. But today, we're tossing that idea out the window. We're going to dive into how you can discover a selling style that is uniquely, powerfully, and authentically your own. It's all about building a playbook that actually works because it's built around you.
And this quote really just nails it, doesn't it? True mastery, in any field, isn't about being a perfect copy of someone else. It's about digging deep, figuring out what makes you tick, and then honing that into a style that no one else can replicate. It's an inside-out game.
Which brings us to the big, flashing question. If we know that self-discovery is the path to mastery, why is so much of the sales world still stuck on standardized, one-size-fits-all scripts? It's a huge disconnect, and it's holding so many people back.
All right, so before we can build a better way, we've got to really understand what's broken. Let's pull back the curtain and look at exactly why these cookie-cutter approaches just don't cut it in the real world.
You know, this isn't just a hunch. The data backs it up. Generic training programs have a terrible ROI because they're not personal. People just can't connect abstract rules to their day-to-day reality. And then there's something called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, which is a fancy way of saying that if you don't use it in a way that's meaningful to you, you lose it. The knowledge just evaporates.
To really get this, we need to be clear on our terms. Your company's sales process, that's the what. It's the roadmap, the steps from A to Z. That's usually set in stone. But the sales methodology, that's the how. That's your style, your tactics, the way you drive the car. And that's where your authentic self can really shine.
And here's the secret of the absolute top performers. They aren't disciples of just one system, whether it's challenger or solution selling or whatever's popular this week. No, they see all of these as tools in a toolbox. They pick and choose, adapt, and combine to build their own flexible, agile approach that works for them.
So, if the generic script is fundamentally flawed, what's the answer? Well, the answer isn't a new script. It's an entirely new foundation, built on something much more real and much more powerful: authenticity.
I absolutely love this metaphor. Think about a legendary athlete. They have a signature shot, right? A move that is so uniquely them, built on their specific strengths. Your signature shot in sales is the same idea. It's your personal, authentic way of connecting with people and solving problems. It's your superpower, and because it comes from you, nobody else can copy it.
So how do we get there? How do we build this authentic style? It really stands on three unbreakable pillars. First, you've got integrity. What you say and what you do are in perfect alignment with your values. Second, honesty. You're upfront about what you can do, and just as importantly, what you can't. And that leads to the third pillar, trustworthiness. See, you don't get to call yourself trustworthy. It's what you earn day in and day out by living the first two.
And when we talk trust, it's not just one thing. It's got layers. It starts with competence. Your client has to believe you can do the job. Then comes integrity. They believe you'll do what you promise. But the holy grail, the absolute peak, is benevolence-based trust. That's when your client genuinely believes you have their best interests at heart. When you get there, you've won the game.
Okay, this all sounds great, right? But how do you actually find and develop your own signature shot? Let's get practical. Let's walk through a framework you can use to make this happen. The journey has three clear stages, and it absolutely has to start with self-awareness, getting real about your natural strengths and, your blind spots too. Next, you have to master the foundational skills. These are the table stakes. And finally, the true art is learning to be flexible, to adapt your style to meet your buyer where they are.
So what are these fundamentals? Well, no matter what your personal style is, you've got to have these down cold. We're talking about active listening. I mean, really listening. We're talking deep product knowledge so you can actually solve problems. And we're talking about communicating with a clear confidence that comes from knowing your stuff.
Now, this framework is an amazing tool for that self-awareness piece. This isn't about putting you in a box. It's about giving you a map. For instance, maybe you're a direct type. You're competitive, you move fast. That's great. But your growth area is probably slowing down and practicing active listening. Or maybe you're systematic. You love data and details. Your strength is being thorough, but you might need to work on weaving that data into a compelling story that connects with people emotionally. See how it works? It's your personal guide to getting even better.
You know, building this authentic style, it's about so much more than just winning your next deal. It represents a huge shift in your entire perspective. It's about deciding to play the long game, to build a career that's not just successful, but sustainable and fulfilling.
When you boil it down, there are really two paths you can take.
The transactional pro is basically on a hamster wheel, always chasing the next deal, focused on price and dealing with constant churn. But the relational pro, they're playing chess, not checkers. They focus on becoming a trusted advisor, which leads to incredible loyalty, tons of repeat business, and a river of referrals.
And hey, the financial results speak for themselves. If you look at customer lifetime value, the total worth of a customer over time, it's not even a contest. The relational approach blows the transactional one out of the water. It's just a more profitable way to operate in the long run.
At the end of the day, this is the entire goal. It's a transformation. You stop being just another vendor pushing a product, and you become an indispensable strategic partner. You become someone they can't imagine succeeding without. That's when you know you've made it.
Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. We live in a world of AI, automation, and endless tech. So, does this old-school idea of human connection and authenticity even matter anymore? Let's talk about being both high-tech and high-touch.
And this is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? As the machines get smarter and smarter, is our basic humanity a liability? Or is it actually becoming our single greatest, most powerful competitive advantage?
Here's the good news. We don't have to choose. In fact, we can use AI for authenticity. Think about it. We can use AI to automate the boring stuff, like scheduling, which frees us up for real human conversations. We can use it to analyze data to make our outreach incredibly personal and relevant. AI can even point us to where our human touch is needed most. It's a partner, not a replacement. This is the absolute bottom line. Technology is an incredible tool. It's a force multiplier. But it is not the craftsperson. You are. The purpose of tech should be to amplify your skills, your empathy, your authentic voice, not to replace it. Because that human connection is and always will be the ultimate differentiator. And that brings us right back to where we started. The biggest wins, the most satisfying successes, they don't come from a borrowed playbook. They come from having the courage and the self-awareness to play your own game, with integrity, with skill, and with a whole lot of heart. So, I'll leave you with this thought. That generic corporate playbook, it'll only take you so far. Your real playbook, the one that's built on your unique strengths, is just waiting for you to write it. So the only question left to answer is, what's your signature shot going to be?